Hey, I just woke up and I thought I might chat a little bit about what was going on at night in my head. I was just talking to an old friend right before I fell asleep, and it was like a hey, how are ya? We should catch up sort of thing. He says, how are you? How have you been? And I said, as you know, just before COVID, I lost my family and my girlfriend. And last year, two of my cats passed away. But the nightmares have stopped as recently as spring. And I've had a really good summer. And it's true. But I think it's because I used to smoke a lot of weed throughout the summer. So I just didn't really dream. And I jinxed myself because, sure enough, last night, all of these like nightmarish emotions came back, and they aren't necessarily violent, although there is a lot of symbolism in the violence. So I thought I would just kind of run through that, especially since I've already forgotten 95% of the dream because it's been like 5 minutes. And just so you know, they're packing up the movie set. They're just down there. Oh my God, look at all that pop. I'm flabbergasted. That is an entire pallet. No, they must be delivering to some kind of a business. Like, there's a dollar store here. That must be a delivery. You think they get paid hourly by like $1 an hour when they work at the dollar store? You think the hydro building gets a power bill and has to pay for electricity? Okay, I'll stop with the dad jokes. But they're originals, so come on, give me some credit. I've never been here. There's a death-defying stunt for you. Will this hold my weight? Will I fall through the hole? Well, you know what? You gotta live a little, do something every day that scares you. Oh my God. And just remembering how old this building is. So let's see if this works. I'll set you up right here and we can have a quick chat. All right. Cool. Okay, guys. So my first dream was like this sort of Christmassy vibe, and I'm hanging out in a very comfortable setting with all the loved ones, the family, the friends, and everything. It didn't really make sense because my friends were like the activists, and they're more like acquaintances from the sort of like AV. But that it makes sense because one of the guys was who I was speaking to just before bed, and someone as a gift, they gifted me a cat, and they were oblivious to my state of mind right now, which is that I, just like with a relationship, I'm not ready. As much as I want it, I just, I need to sort of like Peter Pan syndrome, like just be a kid and just enjoy myself. I'm just not ready for it. Also, there's fur everywhere. So I tell myself that I just need a break from the fur. And everyone looks at me, they're like, you're not happy? It's a cat. You love cats. It's like this oblivious disrespect that my family always had, where they mean well, they really do mean well, but they always seem to say the wrong things to me, or it's just, it's hard to explain, but that's a nightmare for me, to have this cat at a dinner table and have to then confront everyone and say, I do not want this cat. And I took the cat, this is a little brown darling, out to the backyard, sat down, pet them, and was thinking about their future and what a good parent I would be. When my ex's cat passed away, she said she never wants another cat in her life. And then when we moved in together, we went to an adoption center. It was actually a pet store, Petcetera, and they have like satellite centers from BCSPCA. So there were cats in cages, and we walked by. At first, we were thinking this is like a novelty, but she immediately couldn't break eye contact with this one. And then when we got home, I immediately called them and I said, hey, is there a way that I could like put this cat on hold and come back and pick her up tomorrow? And I did the next day. So this guy just sneered at me. Like, why do people care? Like, anyways. And I said no to the cat, but the whole situation in my dream stressed me out. My little sister or something, she said, oh, it's okay, I'll take them and stuff. And then everybody was saying, hey, we're going out for like a drink or a bite or something like that. And I notoriously, my whole life, just am not the best with money. And I knew I couldn't afford it. So that's another nightmare situation for me, is just that feeling of incompetence. And again, the last time I went out with the activists, all my money was actually in my savings account. During the car ride, I thought I transferred it. But apparently, maybe because the screen is so small and I wasn't using the app, so you really can't read which account is transferring what money. And maybe when I hit confirm transfer and I closed the screen, it didn't complete it because the screen was already closed. Anyways, went to the restaurant, ordered 2 appetizer dishes for the table, myself a meal, and the $50 bill was declined on my card. Super embarrassing. Everyone was really cool at the table. There were like 6 of us. They didn't bat an eyelash. They just continued their conversations, and like I felt comfortable in that regard with them. Like they're non-judgmental and everything. But inside, I was freaking out, starting to think how to negotiate with the restaurant to let me go and all this stuff, and actually what happened, because I knew I did have the money, but my data plan, of course, ran out of data right that moment, even though just in the car ride I was using data to transfer the money. And one of the guys, he says, it's okay, Matt, I got you. And he, like, without hesitation, just paid the $50. And that just, like, it's such a feeling of like frustration. And I often don't go out with friends because I just can't afford friends. I can't afford it. In the dream, and Kyle, I haven't seen you forever, but for some reason I was dreaming about you. Yeah, he says, hey, did you open your gift? And I'm like, yeah, I opened it. It's a little booklet. Like it's a thin little book. He's like, no. Open the book. And there was $50 in there. And I was happy. And I'm like, hey, I get to go to the restaurant with you guys. He's like, yeah, you do. And just before we went to the restaurant, my stepdad, he came out to where I was in the backyard, and he said something like, he was a very like quiet person, very reserved. And he sees like a note on the table, and it's some sort of a note that I wrote down because back when I was with my family, I used to write notes, and that's sort of like how I would release. Again, I wish I filmed this. Like the looks people give me. This guy went. And it's like, hey,
You're not supposed to be out there.
okay, I'll come out.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, no worries, man. Why? You're not supposed to be holocausting innocent little animals. You stupid monkey herbivore. Anyways, apparently I committed a crime. This is why they call it Borcouver. Can't have literally any fun in the city. Everything closes at 9 p.m. And all people do is work and sleep. But at least he was nice, and he's not wrong. Mostly people come out here and smoke. So I hope anyone watching this is watching it at 2 times speed, because I know I'm pretty slow at talking. But I just want to get it right, because I want to give these ideas justice, because they're important to me. And if I rush through them, I'll miss details that I won't have the interest in revisiting. So, long story short, I wrote a note. It's on the table. My stepdad's like judging me like he did. It always felt like that. And also he had real like boundary issues, like very controlling person, where he'll just walk into your room, he'll touch your stuff, he'll it just like belittle you and treat you as if you are just supposed to let him like treat you however he wants. This looks like a really cool like kimono. Matsu-san. This is such a cool look. I never wear colors, but damn, I should wear blue. That is a good looking color. The rarest color in nature is blue. Anyways, and this isn't a dream. Keep in mind, this is not a memory. This is just a dream. And I'm sure it's symbolic or whatever, but it's a dream. Okay, this didn't really happen. And I'm not the type to behave this way, but he sees a note that I wrote down because that's what I used to do when I was nervous. Because emotions are like a waterfall, they have to flow somewhere. Otherwise, they get flooded. So the water below the waterfall would be the notes. And right now, it's this sort of log thing where I sort of say it once and then it's out there and I can move on to the next subject and have a clear head. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I just remember stabbing the guy in the head. There were like there was something like he picked up the note and he read it, which he used to do because he just feels so entitled to. He was like just looking at it, and I look at him like put it back, and he goes, oh, okay, okay. Puts it down somewhere, and I'm like, no, 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 pick it up, put it back down exactly where you found it, folded right in front of me. And he doesn't do that. He's like, I already put it back. And I say, okay, I'm not stabbing you right now. And I just grabbed like a blade and just started going at his jugular. Oopsie poopsie. I woke up from that one because it was just too intense and maybe my heart rate was going. And after like a minute, I went back to sleep. And I was transported to this beautiful, sort of like West Vancouver boardwalk. And it's just very romantic, and it feels like maybe like Sicily or something, where you got all these old, beautiful homes right against the cliff's edge with a stone seawall and the ocean during sunset. But I still felt like I was in Vancouver, which is just like a little baby New York devil. I was working at some kind of like a bar or a dispensary as a bouncer, and I felt overwhelmed that it was just me with no backup, which lately security companies do. They'll just have you there and assume that you're supposed to keep everything under control as one person when it's a Saturday night and you're confronted with groups of people, which is what happened. There was some sort of like shoplifting, and I didn't see them, which makes me really nervous because you need selection, continuity, concealment, failure to pay, leaving the store. And I didn't have the selection. So you kind of sometimes don't know if they like just walked in with that candy bar and pulled it out of their pocket and it looks like the candy bar that the store is selling, or did they actually take the candy bar off of the shelf and it's the store's candy bar. So I didn't have selection, which already made me nervous. But they had this bulky item underneath their shirt, which I did not see when they walked in. So I was quite confident to shake him down, and that I did. We tussled, and I just used like a very simple you grab the shoulders or the elbows, and you direct their body weight to one direction as you sweep in the opposite direction with your legs so that they lose balance. And then once they are starting to fall, you push them on the ground. You hold on to whatever clothing you hold on to with the grip of death. And then you can use their arm as they lay on the ground with their arm. You could put your knee here and elbow arm bar to threaten to break the elbow. And I did that in my dream, but it was just shoplifting, so I let the guy go. And his buddies were laughing the whole time, and they were more so like laughing at his buddy getting caught, like, oh, you're in trouble. But I was always, in any situation with security, super understanding. I really don't judge criminals. They don't want to do this. And, if they're just kids, they're not malice, it's just kids being kids. And yeah, I let him go, but that got my heart pumping because you're just surrounded by people. You don't know how they're, you're outnumbered in a way. So I threw my backpack over the bar And the bartender was nice. She was cool, but even that gesture made me nervous because I know in restaurants you're supposed to go to the bartender and say, may I go behind your bar?" And then you say like, "May I leave the backpack here?" and all this stuff. But I didn't. I just threw it over and I walked away. And she was in the middle of a conversation and totally cool with it, which was nice. Made my anxiety go back down. Went for a little walk, and someone, and this happens very often, where I already walk very courteously. I'm a super courteous walker. I always walk in the flow of counterclockwise traffic on the sidewalk closest to the road, as close to the gutter as humanly possible. I am like a pretty wide person, but I am literally always like about to fall off the sidewalk. Just naturally, this is how I walk, so that I don't have to worry about moving out of the way if I am in the middle of the sidewalk. And sometimes in real life, cyclists are going the wrong direction and they start to come towards me. And I don't even think like, "Oh, are we playing chicken?" I've already decided we're playing chicken. Like, I'm not moving. I'm walking a perfectly straight line. You entered, like, and now you're coming towards me. There's no reason I should yield. I think it's always like sort of like a pecking order. Um, Whoever is the most like vulnerable, so to speak, or the slowest, should be the one who has the right of way. So if there's someone disabled or elderly or with a stroller, everyone should go around them. If there's someone on foot, any sort of wheel like a skateboard or a scooter should go around them. And then if there's someone with wheels like a bike or a skateboard, then the motor vehicles like cars and buses should go around them. In other words, if if you're at like a four-way stop and it's raining or whatever, the pedestrian who's soaking cold in the rain on foot trying to get home should have the right of way. I mean, you're in a car, you're warm, you just sit there. And obviously you're in no rush because you're a lot closer to your destination than the person who is on foot. And these things are going through my head and I'm like, "No, I'm not moving." And this person bumps shoulders with me, and I'm quite the tank. Like, I don't flinch if this stuff has happened in the past, which maybe it has once or twice. And I just like nothing. It's kind of like a little bug, like just buzzed by me. But I hear a crash in the dream, right? Remember, these are dreams. And I look over my shoulder, and just like this one Olympic athlete doing hurdles, when their knee locked, their leg broke off with the knee, ankle, and foot, and that's what happened. And from the pain, they passed out. So you got someone who just in the dream bumped into me, and then crashed, and a leg just goes flying, and they're just like flat in the pavement with the cycle. And Vancouver being Vancouver, like I told you before, I've seen people rob dead bodies that have overdosed, and then when called out, they say, "Oh, I'm just going through their pockets to get my lighter back because they borrowed my lighter." And that's exactly the attitude this person had when they take their leg with the shoe, um, and they go, "I'm taking this. I'm taking this. I'm taking this foot." And it's just like, "Hey, I found a cool rock." It's just this creepy vibe where people are going around just walking down the street with body parts, and that just gave me such an uneasy feeling. And I bump into somebody from work, and they go, "Oh, I thought you were going on break. Let me walk you back to work." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, sounds good." And then behind us, we hear like this grinding over pavement, like someone's dragging something. And there's someone doing the splits on rollerblades face down, which just makes no sense because it's a dream. But they're like passed out, and they're just like going, and just scraping their face off. There's like a trail of blood, and it's like going down to the skull. Just the most horrendously graphic visuals. Um, I'm about to get to work, and there's like this enormous tour bus with some sort of like K-pop celebrities. These guys with like the '90s bangs, frosted tips, and everything, and they're in the tour bus and they're talking. And I think I have the right of way. I I I should be able to just carry on the sidewalk, and this bus, which is idling, but it's parked, but it's idling as well. So you really don't know what's going to happen. And also, the driver is like 10 feet up. I mean, it's a bus. Like their eye level is obstructed. Um, you know, so I can't tell, and I just stop, and the bus rolls out in front of me, which is sort of an ideology I have with cars. Humans are not predators, but even if we were, cars would be like the lions and tigers and hippopotamuses that you just don't F with cars. So I always give cars the right of way. I always assume that they're trying to hit me. It's a really good way to not get hit by a car. And yeah, so again, just kind of nerves kind of go back up and then they go back down. And it was like this the whole night. Finally, those kids, they're out there because we're in public. And this is another thing that always made me nervous is like in the realm of security, you do bump into people on the street. Luckily, I always had a good rapport. I was always very respectful, so nothing ever happened. And again, kids being kids, one of them did something like slap me over the shoulder, and they go, they kind of test you, and people do this as well. Um, you know, Especially there's this like Italian mobster movies. You'll see they give you like an aggressive compliment, and it's a form of intimidation where they go, "How you doing? How you doing, my boy?" You know, and they really do that to you, but because of the status, you cannot do that to them. And it was sort of like that situation, like they were kind of like pressing my buttons, but I immediately just like wrapped my arm around like that, and his arm was locked, and I had his elbow, and I said, all I need to do is come up and pop that sucker out. Don't fuck with me. And I let him go, and I kept walking, and then they all went, "Oh, he mad." Again, nothing happened. Me and my coworker in the dream continue walking. We get too far. We're a little lost. Another confusion. Oh, I'm late. My break's over. And then we go back and we find the place. And I wake up like, I'm not going back to sleep. I don't care if you know, I need to. I can't keep going through this roller coaster. So I just wanted to vent. That's all. I don't know if you guys were in the chats right now. We could talk about your dreams and stuff and whatever. But that's pretty much all I got for you. I'm gonna do some activism. I'm gonna maybe hit up Costco and do a protest there. Whole bunch of stuff. I really got into the AI. I'm working on Gary Yourofsky's The Best Speech You'll Ever Hear, and it will be maybe a mashup of my real life vow of loudness, where I recite his speech to the public with AI art, or it might be just straight up AI art. But so far, the images are coming out really nicely. I might show you a little preview. Now, I'm sure I will. I'll be too excited. And yeah, so I'll work on that and maybe a couple of other things in the realm of activism, and hopefully have a good night